CTV News. This is Christy Hako reporting to you live from our studio in Regina, Saskatchewan. We just received breaking news that there's a myth traveling around the University of Regina. Live on scene is CTV's news reporter Courtney, who is taking a look into what is actually happening.
Thank you, Christy. I am live on scene here at the University of Regina. And brr, it's cold outside. There's been talk around the university students stating people have immigrated to Regina and have monopolized the job market. This rumor is traveling fast. Let's take a look into what people are discussing.
As a university student, everywhere I go, I am always being served by immigrants. So yes, I agree that job opportunities in Canada are being taken over by immigrants.
As a university student, I worry that too many immigrants are coming to Canada and taking away our jobs, and that when I graduate university, it will be difficult for me to find a job.
Interesting. Now let's take a look to see if this myth is traveling beyond the walls of the university.
No, I'm from India.
From India? What made you move to Canada by any chance?
It's a little difficult to get a job in India in my own field.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be a good opportunity if I move here.
Any other jobs before this?
Yes, I worked at Superstore as a cashier.
And I came from India.
Okay.
And I was working in a textile company in India.
Okay.
And this is my first job in Canada.
From India here 2.5 years ago, and I first worked in Sears for 2.5 months.
From the observations we have gathered concerning minimum paying wage jobs in the community, 55% of people working in retail and 80% of people working in fast food businesses have colored skin. I see why people are spreading this rumor, but is it true? Let's go back to Christy at the studio to explore it more.
Thanks, Courtney, for that information. It definitely appears as if the myth is up for debate. Let's take a deeper look into the situation. Haley, let's see what you have found.
Thanks, Christy. Contrary to popular belief, the overall poverty rate in Canada, according to the book Is Everyone Really Equal, is 11%. Of that, 22% of colored people are living below the poverty line, while only 9% of white people are living below that very same poverty line. This shows that despite people with colored skin having jobs in our community, they are still falling below the poverty line more so than white people. Information that the studio has gathered concluded that 82% of people working in gas stations and 72% of people working in grocery stores are white. And within jobs that pay above minimum wage, they are largely filled by white people, who make up 95% of these jobs. Stats Canada states that since the early 1990s, the number of landed immigrants has remained relatively high, with an average of approximately 235,000 new immigrants per year. Even though there is a large amount of immigrants coming into Canada each year, the employment rates are decreasing. This proves that these immigrants aren't taking the jobs, because if they were, employment rates would be increasing. As you can see, the myth that people of color are stealing our jobs is exactly that, a myth.
University students have been using anecdotal evidence to spread the idea that immigrants are taking all of our jobs. In other words, they're using personal testimony rather than hard facts for the basis of their assumptions. According to Ziesma, 42% of immigrants who come to Canada with university-level degrees do not find work in the field of their degrees and are forced to settle for minimum wage-paying jobs. Our team of reporters went out in the field to test this myth, and this is what we gathered. We collected data from various job sites, and as you can see from the charts, immigrants are definitely employed in the areas of fast food and retail, but are underrepresented in all other categories. Immigrants are settling for their jobs that nobody else wants. Society believes that since immigrants are the people serving them at retail stores where they shop and fast food restaurants where they eat, that immigrants are taking all of our jobs. This myth is extremely problematic because it oppresses immigrants and makes them look bad for stealing jobs. However, in reality, they are working extremely hard positions, long hours of labor-intensive work, and receiving little to no appreciation or personal fulfillment in exchange. These jobs also provide low wages, meaning immigrants are struggling to stay above the poverty line. It is also important to remember that immigrants work minimum wage jobs because they're the only ones available to them, in comparison to students who work these same minimum wage jobs as they train for future careers. This is Kendall reporting to you live at the University of Regina. Back to you, Christy.
Thank you, Kendall, for your insightful observations and for providing substantial documented research. Unquestionably, with all this information, one can conclude that this myth is definitely false. making false accusations and hasty generalizations has the power to cloud judgments and affect perceptions. Saskatchewan is home to one of the country's most rapidly growing economies and populations, thanks largely to the arrival of immigrants from around the world. We are a multicultural province, a mosaic that makes Saskatchewan a warm and welcoming place. Dispelling the myth that people have immigrated to Regina and have monopolized the job market is one step closer to exploring the value of a diverse society and teaching tolerance. We may feel uncomfortable about talking about race and find it easy to succumb to misguided fallacies. As our CTV reporters have clearly documented, false information, like this myth, means that we no longer can afford to be silent if we want people to know the truth. It is time to make a difference. Thank you, Courtney, Haley, and Kendall, for busting this myth. This concludes our breaking story. We will now return to our regular scheduled program.
Kendall live at the University of Regina.
Haley live at University of Regina.
Courtney, live at the University of Regina.
This is Christy Hako, live at CTV Regina.